Welcome to the party. I'm Sam Ekstrom of Lock. Uh-oh, we got breaking news out of the gate.
I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings. Don't think about what happened last time the Vikings played Mac Jones.
Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman for time purposes. I'm only allowed to ask Ron Johnson one question today.
That was always true. Okay.
Oh, right.
Yes. Okay. This is Arif from the Wide Left Substack. Luke finally wrote an article I liked. It's about the end of the universe.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota Football Party. It's your guys hanging out talking next level Vikings football. So join in with Arif Hassan, Locked On Vikings Luke Braun, Superior Sports Talk's Luke Inman, and Vikings insider Sam Ekstrom, plus the biggest names in Minnesota football for the Minnesota Football Party. And it starts now.
Hello, welcome in. It's the Minnesota Football Party live on a Thursday, part of Locked On Sports Minnesota. So glad you joined us today, whether you are watching live, listening on demand in the Locked On Vikings audio feed, commenting. We appreciate all the engagement. Vikings, Jaguars on Sunday, and there's breaking news around the Jaguars quarterback change. We'll get into that. Plus, where the Vikings sit in a crowded NFC, and they will have to proceed for the next several weeks without their rookie sensation kicker. Will Reichard is out. We'll get into all of that on today's show, which is brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code all lowercase LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. We're all part of the Locked On Podcast Network here. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first watch or listen. As I teased right out of the gate, Trevor Lawrence's shoulder was limited yesterday. Tea leaves were dropping Monday or Tuesday when they talked about this injury. It seemed like they were laying the groundwork for something more serious, and indeed, that was the case. Mac Jones, former Patriots first-round pick, is likely to start this game on Sunday. So Luke Braun, hit us with your initial gut reaction to the QB change. We just went through this a week ago. Richardson to Flacco. Now we've got it again. How does this change the winnability of the football game?
So I was talking to Tony Wiggins about this possibility on the crossover. Actually, he kind of saw this coming with that injury. He was also speculating on that this might be an excuse to get your franchise quarterback out of a dying season. But beyond that, Trevor Lawrence plays a little hero ball when pressure comes, when he sees the kinds of things Flores will throw at him. He can get a little bit stupid with the football. And I feel like Mac Jones does that, but without the talent. Like that, it feels like it's the same problem, but worse. Which I know, groundbreaking stuff. The backup's worse than the starter. But I also think it's important that this broke on Thursday and not like 2 seconds before the game, because now the Vikings can adjust their preparation a little bit.
Right. And I know what you're saying with the hero ball. Like, Lawrence can get away with it sometimes, especially now that he's got a couple weapons.
Like he has that gene a little bit, but sometimes he gets a little stupid with it. Yeah.
And if you've sat down and watched any Jags football this year, I feel like one of the common themes, like even on the weeks when they put up 20, 30 points, there's like no offensive identity. Like, what do you do better than other teams? What do you want to be known for? Who are you offensively? Are you going to run the ball with Travis Etienne? Well, he got banged up. He never really got going. Are you going to air it out with Lawrence? They lost to Philly last week because on the last play of the game, they ran a wheel route to their backup running back and threw a 50-50 ball that got intercepted by a linebacker, Nakobe Dean. Like game on the line. Who's your stud? What's your go-to play? Who's your guy that win or lose? Let's just make sure we give this guy a chance to go make a play. Offensive identity has been like out of sync or just kind of confusing from the games I've watched of the Jags this year. And I don't think anything's going to get better with Mac Jones from here on out this week.
Yeah,
this is important information. Hold on, Arif.
Okay.
This is important. Per Pro Football Reference, do you guys know Mac Jones' full name?
Yes.
McCorkle?
McIntyre.
Yes, McCorkle.
Michael McCorkle Jones.
All right,
understand
loser
what-
punishment. We name
wait,
our
so
first kid
I-
McCorkle. Got it.
McCorkle.
Got it.
So McCorkle
Yeah, I remember
is-
making
is-
fun of McCorkle for like 2 years after he got
Yeah,
drafted.
McCorkle is obviously
I missed this boat.
unique enough by itself. Let's go with that. I don't know as a parent how you also put Michael in front of it. That just feels like you're setting your kid up to be in a children's pop-up book. Like that's like what that is.
Mr. McCorkle.
Dr.
Right.
Seuss. And
You find out like
He has
his
2
name's
bowls
Michael
of
McCorkle.
porridge.
Right.
if McCorkle throws
no, it's
3
just,
interceptions in the first half,
No, but I may or may not have had Evan Ingram as the 6th leg of a 6-leg parlay, and he only needed 1 more catch, and he may have been wide open on that Dearness Johnson target.
Oh, no.
He might have been wide open.
no. What are we doing?
Okay.
It hurts.
Anyway. No, I mean, like, all of the things that you said are true. I think that one thing that we should also add is that all of these tendencies, the hero ball tendencies that we talk about with Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones and how to kind of share that gene, Trevor Lawrence will do it all the time. That's who he is. He thinks he can make every throw. Not all of his receivers can make every catch. Not a thing that he has adjusted himself to. But Mac Jones ramps up the hero ball whenever there is question of what he's seeing, which I think is particularly bad against a Brian Flores defense. Like, I think ramping up your hero ball tendencies when you do not have the tools to play hero ball, when things get a little dicey, is the worst possible combination you can have against this particular defense, especially one that like emphasizes disguise, not just heavy blitz look. So puts the Vikings in a good spot. Also, don't want to ignore the fact that like not having Christian Kirk is going to be really big for them. They just don't have that many targets they like. Like they didn't adapt to having Brian Thomas for the first couple of weeks. Finally, he's being used, and it's happening at the same time Christian Kirk is out of the lineup. They don't have targets. It's
they were missing Evan Ingram for the first 5 weeks or so. Like injuries just in general, top to bottom, have kind of destroyed this team more than most. I remember going into like week 3, they were missing like 3 out of their 5 starters in the secondary, and that went on for a couple weeks. Couldn't stop anybody defensively. I know the past few weeks, I think Ezra Cleveland, who's actually been somewhat decent, he got hurt. I know Brandon Sheriff. We ripped on Brandon Sheriff when we were talking about trade stuff, but I know he didn't practice Wednesday, too. Obviously, Cam Robinson was traded. So just kind of feels like they've got, especially with
Cam
the Mac
Robinson
Jones
was
thing
traded.
now.
Wow, I wonder why they would do that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It
Their
feels
backup
like
guard, Cooper Hodges, got hurt right away.
he's on
too, when
IR.
He replaced
Dude.
Cleveland.
they've
Yeah.
been decimated.
So they've got like, what is it, Blake Hance, a guy I remember
He's a guy.
from. I think he
He's a
had good
person.
workouts, which is not a good sign if that's what I remember about you and you're a guard. Like, because I used like combine spreadsheets and he stood out. Like, that's not good. That's the thing I remember.
Yeah.
So
Some of the worst pass blocking numbers that you'll see on PFF
Doesn't shock
in
me.
his career. And I don't know, like if Sheriff doesn't play and Cleveland doesn't play, I don't know who they have left. To be honest with you, they might have a practice squad call up. Here's my Mac Jones stat of the day. Last year with the Patriots, his deep passing, and this is an area where Trevor Lawrence actually excels, throws a great deep ball.
Yes.
Mac Jones, so the yards per attempt on deep balls last year, C.J. Stroud was the best at it, 19.8, which is absurdly good.
Wow.
The medium, like the mean, is like Dak Prescott, like 13.2.
Sorry, is this
And
the number you're using is yards per attempt on deep balls? Okay.
Yards per attempt. Then, like, the bad quarterbacks at deep balls, like Zach Wilson, Bryce Young, they were like 9.9, 8.6. And then there's a chasm. And then there's Mac Jones. 4.3 yards per attempt on deep throws last year with New England. That's 40th out of 40 qualified QBs. So there's the lack of hero ball, but also when he tries, he's not effective. Like this, it takes away the deep element, I think, pretty considerably.
I will say, Sue, I couldn't
have
name
never
2
heard of
receivers
that
on
in
the
my life.
Patriots last year either, by the way, though.
Sure, but I've never heard of that. Like a 4 yards per attempt on deep balls.
Yeah,
that's,
that is like
that's
astronomical. That's a
basically
cliff.
doing nothing.
Yeah,
That's
can't
crazy.
Remember
because
another
the-
quarterback that's done that.
Luke, you were talking about the identity of the Jags offense, and I was going to say, I thought it was maybe Brian Thomas. But if he can't throw the deep ball,
right.
Then-
It has evolved into Brian Thomas. You're
like
right,
he's
the last
coming
month.
out to be that guy. Like that's
Correct.
turning
He's
out to
balling.
be what the Jaguars' future is Trevor
Yes.
Lawrence throwing to Brian Thomas.
Yes.
But if that element is hampered, like that feels like the best way. Well, I don't know. Like the go balls down the sideline thing is a little bit tough because the Vikings are in like quarters a lot, and that will take those away. But if that's going to be your thing, that gets pretty tough.
Kind of wiped out. Yeah, definitely.
Tank Bigsby, nice player. I did
Great
my Tank Bigsby research
Great football
this
name.
morning.
Yeah.
Number one, where's my number? Number one in yards after contact this season. Number 5 in breakaway percentage. Not a third down back though.
Oh boy,
Not
this
a-
is
Yeah.
not a middle of the field passer. My goodness.
Can't pass protect, can't catch. It's he's a very one-dimensional, very good at the one dimension, very one-dimensional runner. But yeah, I mean, he's been kind of fun to watch. He's somebody to watch out at the goal line. But yeah, like Travis Etienne is the third down back, which is weird because like the whole point of Travis Etienne was he's your everything back. Etienne, I think statistically, he has a higher success rate and higher yards per attempt. But I think that's a product of his deployment. I think Bigsby is the more reliable back, but because they're not very good at run blocking, they contact him in the backfield fairly frequently. And so he's grinding out more consistent gains, but the success rate numbers don't show that. But that I think is like actually kind of what's at play.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to see what the Jaguars' path has to be. They got to run the ball super well. They don't want to drop Mac Jones back a lot. And they don't intercept the ball ever, but the Vikings give the ball away a lot, right? It's pretty simple that if Sam Darnold has
The
a
eternal
Sam
tug of
Darnold
war.
moment or two, yeah, like the Jaguars have 2 picks this year. Is Sam Darnold going to give them any? I don't. This game is not quite
freebie.
loser-proof. There's a very narrow path, I think, for the Jaguars to find a way to win. And what did you say the line moved to with the Jones news?
7.
4.5 to
7.
7 last I looked, but it was like
Yeah.
still going. Yeah, okay, it's at 7.
Still, yeah, it would be still going.
So Trevor Lawrence was worth 3 points. I heard Will Reichard was worth 3 points too. So
Okay, it balances
right.
out.
Right. No, yeah.
Balances out. Let's get into to the Riker thing.
Might be literally.
Let's take a break and we'll get back with
God,
Will Reichard.
Jesus.
2/3 of the kicking battery, in fact, is out. We'll discuss the ramifications next on the Minnesota Football Party. We are presented today by Z Biotics. Pre-alcohol by Z Biotics is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. Invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for the rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. So remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly. You'll feel your best tomorrow. So if you're going out on a Saturday night, you want to wake up, you gotta have a little something in the tank to watch football all day, right? You don't want to feel crappy sitting on the couch. So you drink pre-alcohol. Make it your first drink of the night. You drink responsibly, pace yourself, and then you enjoy the next day. You wake up feeling refreshed. Go to zbiotics.com/LockedOnNFL. Learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use LockedOnNFL at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL at checkout for 15% off. And we've got a great lineup here at Locked On Sports Minnesota as well. We do this every Monday and Thursday. Minnesota Basketball Party on Wednesdays. Ron Johnson hosts on Tuesdays and Fridays with the Roundtable. All right, Will Reichard is on the IR. Andrew DePaula is on the IR. So 2/3 of the special teams battery is out, replaced by my guy, JP, John Parker Romo, and Jake McQuaid, your new long snapper.
That's a
How
good
about
name,
a little?
too.
How about a little Jake McQuaid trivia? Jake McQuaid
I'm
went
here
to
for it.
which
Yes, please.
which college?
Oh, Jesus. I don't know. Yale?
Can we get
McQuaid,
the-
got to be Ivy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? That
I
sounds
was
about
gonna say,
right.
can we get the conference?
Sounds
But
vaguely
maybe it's
Irish.
just
Harvard.
Ivy.
Big Ten. Big Ten, actually.
Big Ten.
Big
Okay.
Ten.
Jake McQuaid.
Northwestern, the Ivy of the Big Ten.
What if he too went to Rutgers?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Actually, Rutgers tried to be an Ivy, and then they realized you couldn't give athletic scholarships, so they stopped.
Also, DePaula went to DePaula.
Wait, old school Big Ten or the new Big Ten?
Oh,
Old school Big Ten.
Oh, right,
you would've
okay.
got us.
That does
We
that
would've
does
been
actually
like
interject, but
Oregon.
thank you for asking. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I would have
Illinois?
heard if he was.
don't
I
know.
think I would have heard if he was a Gopher. Yeah, Illinois sounds good. That sounds like a McQuaid.
The Ohio State University.
Oh,
Wow.
boring. Bleh.
Okay.
How
They
much
get long
money?
snappers too? Come on, man.
I mean, this guy's been in the league for like 20 years.
He
How
was a
much
line,
he
got
right?
he was the longtime long snapper for the St. Louis Rams.
Correct. And he missed. He was
That's
with the
insane.
Rams. He gave them so much, and he left 1 year before he would have gotten a ring, and went to Dallas.
Oh.
How much money do you think a long snapper for 13 years has made in the NFL
Like total?
total?
I'm gonna say 6.5 mil.
You
I'm
said
gonna guess he
13
made
years?
like half of his
years.
money in the last two.
Yeah, 6.5 mil was a good guess. I'm gonna go under. No, I'm gonna go over. 7.5. Wait, no,
Correct
6.51.
I'll go with 8.25 million.
You're all low. Jake McQuaid has made a handsome sum of $12 million.
Oh, has he got Rosenhaus?
Not bad.
You know,
7
maybe he
snaps a
signed
game?
one of those
All right,
McDermott
dude.
deals. McDermott signed a nice extension at one point, like what, 3 years, $8 million or something like that. I'm trying to look at whether, yeah. So
I
at one
suppose
point,
you do that 5 times. Yeah.
yeah, he's played for about $1 million per year
Okay.
in his career, so that adds up.
a
Jake
good gig.
McQuaid, good gig if you can get it, unless you break your hand like Andrew DePaula did. Apparently, I
he gonna
don't
get
know
Wally
which
pipped?
play.
That free health insurance still a good gig, actually.
Yeah, still a good gig.
How about the Reichard move being out though? JP Romo comes in with the San Antonio Brahmas last year. It was 9 of 10 from 40 yards and beyond, 2 of 3 from 50 and beyond. So not a terrible resume. He's making his NFL regular season debut. Thoughts on the loss of Reichard, the insertion of Romo, Luke Inman?
I don't know. Maybe this is dumb. I'm just not that concerned this week because it's maybe maybe if this is a division game or the Falcons or Seahawks, let's say, I'd be a little bit more worried. Maybe I'm underplaying it. I don't know. Maybe it costs them more than 3 points or so, but I just feel like this shouldn't be a 3-point game at the end anyways, so they find a way to overcome and escape and get out of Jacksonville without a starting kicker and a starting long snapper. I think what I'm more concerned about is the longevity of the injury. I don't know how serious the injury is. Is this something that we got to roll with these guys for multiple games, multiple weeks going into December, or is this just like a 1 or 2 week thing? I don't know.
Right. Injury epidemic around the league with kickers this year. 49ers have used
Yeah.
3. Giants have used 3.
Yeah.
I looked at some of
Giants
their
have used
backup.
4 if you count their punter also kicking for them.
Yes.
Goodness.
Greg Joseph hasn't been great for them. He's missed 3 kicks. I looked at San Francisco, though. Their backups did not miss. I think I'm more concerned, honestly, about changing 2/3 of the battery than I am about the kicker himself. That
Yeah, the
that feels
operation
like
will be
Yes,
messed
that
up.
is
an
that is-
operational
That is
problem.
the primary concern here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I think if it was just a backup kicker, it wouldn't impact their decisions too much. But I think because of the wholesale change in the way that that special teams unit's going to operate, they're more likely to do stuff like go for it on 4th down. That will include punting decisions as well because of a long snapper change, right? Which I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. You know, the analytics brain inside me was like, yeah, that's fantastic. But it changes the calculus a lot in like unexpected ways. And so we're probably going to see kind of an unusual approach, which may mean going for it, on 2-point conversions and stuff like that. I think that's less likely, but a lot more kind of 4th down type stuff. And I think that they're rostering a kicker specifically for like 4th and 13 type. Yeah, we could either punt or kick a field goal here, so we'll just kick a field goal because I think that's probably the best. So I think that's probably it. Luke also did write a lot about John Parker Romo's mechanics for wide left out football.
Yep. Really? Before the season, when it was a kicker battle, I wrote comparing the two, trying to learn about kickers, a little bit of history, what happened with the Blair Walsh kick, all that stuff, which you can find. I retweeted it out yesterday.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to cost them a couple points. It just means you got to win by a couple more than you had to before. I don't know if it I'm sure, a 4th and 2 is a little more tempting, right? I don't know if they start going for it on 4th and 6s from their own 35, but I think normal field goals, 30-yard, high 30-yarders, 40-yarders that you would go for just have that much higher of a chance of missing. And this can't be a game where it comes down to, if we missed 2 field goals and we lost by 2, that kind of game. You gotta just go kill them. And with the state of the Jaguars right now, you should be able to.
Yeah, I wonder if this is one of those situations where Kevin O'Connell's determined to show his trust in the new guy. Kevin O'Connell loves to demonstrate his trust, So does he demonstrate that trust after a mistake is made? Because he does, certainly with his quarterback. Does he operate the same way with a kicker? Will he keep throwing him out there? Will he give him a 55-yard opportunity because he trusts him? Is that the game that you play with a kicker? I think you got to treat it differently.
I think you're right about his overall tendencies. He especially loves good stories, which I think this qualifies as. But I think that in game, he's going to acknowledge the strategic changes that this creates. And I think that he can justify it after the game without throwing anybody under the bus, because you can just talk about, the lack of practice reps and chemistry. He trusts these guys, but you got to give him a chance, and he's got to put him in the best position to succeed. And I'm a coach, and that's my job. And I think that you don't have to come out of it looking like you don't trust the new guy, because you're just talking about, the operation. Right? They love saying that, the operation. So I think
you can just hear the locker room speech handing out the game ball. We kicked him out in August, and then he comes back.
We told him, be ready. We told him, be ready.
Oh, my God.
You never know when your number's going to get called.
Thank you for picking up the baton there, Sam, and running with it. That was good. I appreciate it.
Exact. You just spoiled it. That's going to be precisely what you get.
Now he's going to kick a game winner. That's the...
Oh, right. Man.
KOC's pacing back and forth.
He just needs to make extra points to get the game ball.
That's true. Yeah.
Pretty much.
This guy was
the
bagging
game-winning
groceries.
extra point.
This guy was bagging groceries. He didn't know if he was going to play NFL football again. Jake McQuaid. Way to snap it, my man.
Actually, he does give out multiple game balls, so he might.
Yeah.
He's
Jake
averaging
McQuaid
8.5 a game at this point.
It costs him like tens of thousands of dollars every time. It's so funny. He just can't resist.
They show Ziggy, and he's like, "Oh, dude, you're killing me here."
No, it comes out of his pay.
This guy played 3 snaps against his former team. Let's hear it up for Ross Blacklock. You're like, all right, dude.
We put a lot of stress on this guy. A lot of stress. He took snaps all week. Stayed in the building late. Ryan Wright. Way to hold it.
I showed up at 5 a.m. This guy's car was in the parking lot. Okay. All right.
First here, last to leave.
This guy's
Laces
Toyota
out.
Camry was in the parking lot.
The tires
unmistakable.
Flat, man. He Ubered.
Yeah,
He's not here.
The only unmistakable Toyota Camry.
As we wait, Ron Johnson's Thursday appearance, Nerdy Stack.
Analytics fans rejoice. It's time to get educated.
Whoa, you're blowing my mind right now.
With the nerdy stat of the day.
Had a good Trevor Lawrence one, and we're still going to burn that even though Mac Jones is starting. Trevor Lawrence has the worst winning percentage of a number 1 overall pick quarterback since David Carr. Should have made you guess that. Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way that that's absolutely true. So I'm waiting for the since. David Carr was good. Was Joey Harrington a 1-1? That would have been my guess.
Two.
Okay.
or 2 or 3. Yep.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
And certainly plenty of
That
mediocre.
was David Carr year. I think Harrington went right after.
Well, Harrington was. Okay,
Oh.
interesting.
I think.
David Carr 291 winning percentage. Trevor Lawrence 373. So Carr is in like a league of his own.
Okay, so
Bryce Young is coming for him. If
great,
you get
that's fantastic.
the qualified stat or the qualification level was 50 starts for this.
So losses by year of career, David Carr is number 1 for through 2 years, through 3 years, through 4 years. And then Derek Carr is like 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. And I think, is Derek Carr also not? Yeah, 9 years. And then Archie Manning. I mean, maybe Arch Manning if he plays his cards wrong. But Archie Manning picks it up right after that. It's like a perfect set of stats. I love it.
That is really incredible. Derek's number is going up by the day, it feels like. Nerdy stats, what do we got? That was a good one, Arif. You can count that if you want.
That was good.
I could and I would, but I actually researched for the segment for once. So mostly because someone asked me a Twitter question 2 days ago and I had the answer and I still have it. So the Vikings win in all passing dropback situations on defense. They rank 7th in pressure rate, 35%. That's according to Fantasy Points data. Every data source will have a different percentage, but 7th is about, it's pretty good. When they only send 4, they rank 3rd in the NFL with 37.7% pressure rate. None of this is to say they should rush 4 more often or blitz less often or whatever, right? This is a product of their blitzing scheme, and the way that they rush 4 is a lot different than the way a lot of other teams rush 4, but they are blitzing to set up the standard dropback. That's what they're doing. It's a crazy system where instead of like running to set up the pass, they blitz to set up the normal pass rush, and it's working real well.
Let's table the nerdy stats until after Ron Johnson. We got Ron Johnson joining. Okay. We're going to pause and then get to Ron. I'm going to ask Ron where the Vikings sit in the NFC right now. That's next on the Minnesota Football Party. Brought to you today by FanDuel. We'll be making our Week 10 wagers momentarily as well, and we're using FanDuel to do that. It's America's #1 sportsbook because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that $5 bet wins. The app gives you everything you need to place bets, not only before the game, but live as well. So when you have that hunch, you can cash it in at FanDuel, FanDuel.com to join today. Once again, if your first $5 bet wins, get $150 in bonus bets. FanDuel.com. It's all the lines, all the leagues, and think about all the action going on right now in sports, NBA, NHL, college basketball, college football, and the NFL. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We're also brought to you today by Prize Picks, which is simply the best way to play daily fantasy sports. You can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. That's right. Get in on the action in 30 different states. And Prize Picks puts their members first. All withdrawals are fast, safe, secure. When your picks hit, get your money as quickly as 15 minutes, and they offer Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. Cross-sport entries are a lot of fun as well. We just told you how many sports are going right now. You can take advantage of that at Prize Picks. Sign up today. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. They offer weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday each Tuesday. Prize Picks discounts select player promotions up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Ron Johnson joins now, host of the Ron Johnson Show on Tuesdays, host of the Roundtable on Fridays. He's at 3, Ron Johnson. All right, Ron, I want to go around the circle. I want to hear from everyone else what their Vikings power rank is within the NFC. Then we're going to get Ron Johnson to respond to it. So I'm going to go 3. I think the Vikings are 3 in the NFC.
Yep, I'm going 3 as well, behind Detroit and Washington, right above Philly. 3.
Okay.
3 for me.
I'll go 4, just below Philly, but the same, and I can't think of other NFC teams. Can I put them below the Rams? I feel like the Rams are kind of good.
Rams are sneaky.
Yeah, I don't think the Rams are good enough to put. I mean, obviously they beat the Vikings, but you know what I mean. That's not how power rankings work. I don't think the Rams are good enough to put ahead of the Vikings. I'm going to put them 3 as well. I actually was not thinking about who the other teams were. 3 just felt spiritually right. I didn't want to think about who would. I didn't want to like go through it. So 3, yeah, sure, fine.
So the consensus mostly is 3. Now, Ron, would you make the argument to go better than 3? Because I think there's probably a legit argument to put him at 2. What do you think?
There's a legit argument to put them at 2. There's also a legit argument to put them at 4. Like you could throw the Falcons in there because they haven't played each other yet, and so we'll get that matchup in US Bank Stadium. So, I'm kind of like leaning 3 or 4 just because I don't want to get too high on the team. I feel like the defensive woes at times with a team like the Falcons, like a team like the Commanders, could hurt the Vikings and the Eagles as well to pass the ball the way they do. So, and the fact that they use their running back in the passing game. And so when you look at where the Vikings have struggled, it's been teams that are willing to spread you out. And if they get a little bit of time to pass and you don't get home, like as Arif pointed out with his nerdy stats, the Vikings are susceptible to giving up some big plays. And a little bit of it is the mismatch issues they have with like trying to show man versus zone and having corners play safety. Feels like Gilmore every once in a while just gets out of position. But yeah, I would go with that 3 to 4 range, somewhere in there.
And let me follow up with this. And apologies, I was told my audio is a little sketchy. Is it still sketchy?
It
sounds like
You're back.
seems
Better
better.
now.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Reef,
Actually,
you're
someone
messed up.
else's just got weird.
We're doing great.
Might be a Reef. So, Ron, here's what concerns me. The Lions seem like they're on the fast track to be the number 1 seed. Now, if that's the case, Vikings become the 5. And we're talking about going on the road maybe 3 times in the playoffs to get to the Super Bowl. Do you think the Vikings could be a team that makes a run on the road in the postseason? Do you feel like they have that ability?
Yeah, I think so. And the cool thing about it is you look at who they're going to play potentially. It would still be an indoor game versus the Falcons if that's where they end up playing them. The Buccaneers is warm, so that could be another place they have to go. I mean, indoor to the Lions. Cardinals is nice. Commanders and Eagles are the only 2 if they have to travel out that way that could affect them, weather-wise. But other than that, the other options they have and where they would go through, even like the Rams, are all good weather, states. And so I would say their offense in that situation travels well, but also too, Minnesota in the cold seems to do just fine anyway. So I think, when you live up here, even though you're not playing in it or practicing it a lot, your body is just naturally used to it. Like you kind of adapt. It's like living in Florida for 10 years and then having to play in the cold. Then your body's like, oh crap, what do I do here? When you live in Minnesota, I think Kevin O'Connell has those guys outside at times. I know PJ Fleck does this too. They turn the air conditioner on in the indoor facility with it being cold outside so they're not outside, but they're still having cold temperatures. So there's so much that these players are used to that I think this team would travel just fine.
Ron, I was going to ask you a Gophers question, but let me stick with the NFC topic talk here. How do you beat the Lions right now? Like a lot of people think they're the best team in the league, better than the Chiefs. What's their weakness right now? Because it just feels like they're just firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, you give Dan Campbell grenade opportunities and you hope that he falls on it before it blows up. And, when you look at what Dan Campbell does, he's willing to pull the pin and force you to do something. So how do you keep him away from that grenade? You have to hold on to the ball. Like you have to have long sustaining drives. You can't get into a shootout with the Lions the way he's willing to go for it on 4th and 1, the way he's willing to go for it on 4th and 3, the way he's willing to go for 2-point conversions. If he feels like this is a back and forth game, he's gonna do something to get you out of your tendencies, and he's willing to lose games as we saw against the 49ers. If he just kicks the freaking field goal, the Lions are probably in the Super Bowl, and my childhood dream would have come true. But of course, no, he wants to gamble and he screws it up. Also, the celebration. Never mind. I'm not getting into that game. Not getting into that game. It's gone. We're flushing that. Never taunt the fans like the Bears. You guys never learn. Don't taunt the fans. It's gonna come back. Sean Payton, what are you doing? Like, never taunt the fans. But yeah, no, I think the way you do it is you have it's time of possession. If you can hold on to the ball a little bit longer, keep Jared Goff on the bench, force his defense to be tired, because we know he's going to come out and do the same thing. He's willing to have a 17-play drive, but you got to keep Jared Goff on the bench as long as possible, because then that maybe is the only thing that might slow them down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ron, the Ravens play on Thursday Night Football tonight.
Yep.
They have, in the last couple of weeks, made 2 different trades for wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
But it still kind of feels like their skill core is going to go through the same guys mostly. So my question is, how much does all that stuff move the needle for you?
I think it does. I mean, it shows the willingness to the organization, I think, as a whole. Like, the team feels like, okay, they're really trying to give us, like, if I'm Lamar Jackson, it's like, okay, they're trying to give me as many pieces as possible. Here's the thing about the Ravens that is ironic enough is as many weapons that they've added. Here's the reason. Passing touchdowns to tight ends or running backs. So passing touchdowns to tight ends or running backs, the Ravens lead the league at 65%. So they've been tight end and running back dominant in the passing touchdowns. So I think the addition to a receiver is just them throwing spaghetti up against the wall saying, we got to get more touchdown production out of our receivers in the red zone. We got to get some deep threats here because Lamar can throw it. So I think when you're looking at those numbers, that's kind of where they're probably like, you know what, like, we are really reliant on these tight ends and running backs and the screen game and all this other stuff. Jet sweeps to running backs. Like, they're doing everything, screens, bubble screens, bubbles out the backfield. Like, they're doing a lot of that. I think they just want to add weapons. So it moves the needle for me a little bit because it does feel like they're trying, though. They're like, hey, we realize what happens in the playoffs and how they kind of, whether it's, you know, we get too running back reliant and now we're forced to throw. We need to have some weapons to be able to do that and have a balanced attack.
So Vikings put both their long snapper and their kicker on IR, brought in a new long snapper and a new kicker. You've done a lot of work on special teams over the years. That's not an insult, Ron. I just want to know, like, how much, like, the people who, like, work in, you know, in special teams and stuff like that, you know, pay attention to that, how much it worries them, whether they, like, adjust anything or anything like that, and, like, how you think the Vikings will adapt to that, whether or not they'll go for it on 4th down more often, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, special teams is – I just interviewed Dragan Kesic for the Gophers pregame show for Saturday. So that interview with he and I, we sat down and we talked about that. We talked about, you know, his start to the season and how, you know, he missed 2 field goals and he was the, you know, Big Ten kicker of the year. He's one of the top 3 kickers right now for the Lou Garza Award as kicker, you know, best kicker in the nation. And then you have a rocky start, you know, you have a couple little nagging things here and there. And then as you get healthy, so yes, it's huge. I think special teams, even though it's one of those things like who I forgot who we had on, Sam. He played for the Vikings in '98. He was on that team, Dwayne Clemens. And he talked about how they all hated the kickers after that, like how they, you know, MF'd kickers and they were going off on kickers and blah, blah. And they just hated
They're
kickers.
just like us.
And they hate it because they're like, we did all this work. We're 15-1, and we gotta hope our kicker can make this kick for us to go to the Super Bowl. And you know, it's good when you have them, and then when you don't have them, it becomes like a national story of like, oh, what do they do? I brought this up with Sam with Mike Tomlin. We know in the past he's been one of the guys that kind of had that analytics person to tell them like, hey, if you go for 4 2-point conversions and you convert 2 out of the 4. It's just like kicking a field goal every time or an extra point every time. So I don't know how much Kevin O'Connell is going to rely on it, but I do know having TJ Hawkinson back probably makes it easier to want to do in the red zone because, and if you look at the Jags defense versus tight ends and running backs, it's kind of laughable sometimes when you look at some of the games. Like week 7, they gave up 124 yards. And so 124 yards to tight ends and 65 yards to running backs. I mean, how do you give up 20 receptions to tight ends and running backs? So the Jaguars, and if you watch the tape, I mean, my pregame show breakdown is of like, I'm going on the thing of like, hey, Aaron Jones out the backfield, Cam Akers out the backfield, and TJ Hawkinson and Josh Oliver. I'm not going to throw Josh Oliver out with the bathwater. Like, he's still in this. And even Johnny Munt.
Like 58 yards.
Yeah. And even Johnny Munt. The Jags, for some reason, pay way too much attention to the receivers. Like, and you have to adjust to Jefferson Addison, but that's why I think this could be a big tight end running back game in the passing game because they drop 6 or 7, and the safeties are like 30 yards deep because they're so worried about getting beat deep. And then when you look, you're like, if you know you have a deep safety and I'm the strong safety, so I have a deep safety, I'm the stronger, I'm the nickel. why am I letting the guy run a corner route? Like, I don't have any help. And they're getting beat on some of the weirdest stuff. And it's tight ends. And tight ends are killing them with some of these, like, I don't know if they don't think tight ends are fast enough to get behind them or what, but they are getting beat notoriously and just losing them in the end zone. And, like, it's some weird stuff when you watch the Jags. It's almost like they all are talking like, hey, if we do this, Doug Peterson probably gets fired after this game. So
if we get eviscerated by tight ends, Doug Peterson's out of here.
So that's the one strange thing where I would say this is the week to go for 2, because the way they treat the tight end and the running back, they lose track of them a lot. Like their eyes go back to the quarterback and forget, oh, wait, crap, I'm manned up on the tight end. Or, oh, crap, I got man on this running back, and he outflanks them. And all the quarterbacks they've played have gotten the ball out their hands quick. I mean, even Caleb Williams beat him with his tight ends. And so that, I mean, nothing to get, and I'm not hating on Caleb Williams. I'm just saying for him to go to that 3rd, 4th progression and
Caleb did not throw to Cole Kmet all that much. Like, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like he didn't. But that game, he kind of got off. Like the Bears game, which one was that? Week 6. So 6 receptions, 72 yards, and 2 touchdowns to his tight ends, and then 6 receptions for 53 yards to his running backs. So even he was able to, like, look here. Oh, yep, there's Cole Kmet. Look here. Oh, yep, there's Cole Kmet. And he was, like, getting the ball out of his hands on, like, the 3rd and they're not getting a little pass rush. Their pass rush is not great either. So they are not getting after the quarterback at all. Like, it just feels like, again, it feels like they quit. It feels like they I don't know if they're, like, hoping we trade Trevor Lawrence and we get Shedeur Sanders. I really don't know what their plan is right now.
Yeah, Packers beat him because of a 67-yard tight end connection. Tucker Kraft got him down for the game-winning field goal. In closing, Ron, Trevor Lawrence actually announced unlikely to play with a shoulder. Mac Jones likely to start. How does that strike you? Mac Jones.
I'm scared of Mac Jones. Like, the Vikings and backup quarterbacks notoriously, like, walk in with their chest out, like Cooper Rush, like Joe Flacco almost. Like, it's like we cannot catch a break. Give us the starter that sucks. Like, why do you keep giving us the good backup who's coming in playing for another chance to play? And Mac Jones, honestly, like, I just think him and Belichick didn't gel well. Like, they did not have the personalities didn't fit. Like, he wasn't Tom Brady. It's tough. Like, could you imagine? Like, I mean, just imagine Giselle's new baby daddy. Like, you got to fill the shoes of Tom Brady. That's a lot. Like, that's a lot to do. Even though Giselle has her own money, and it's not about the money, but it's just the aura. Like, Tom Brady has an aura, and so for Mac Jones, it probably was tough. And now that the Vikings get him, one, I will say, okay, he's not that good. But 2, I do worry a little bit about, like, Mac Jones, like, doing the basics, like, I'm gonna just get the ball out of my hands quick. I'm gonna just get the ball because he's not gonna, like, Trevor Lawrence would maybe give you an interception here and there or make a mistake because he's gonna try hard. Mac Jones is gonna be like, what do I have? Hitches? All right, I'm going to the first hitch. I don't care if it's 3rd and 17. I'm throwing the hitch because you told me to throw the hitch. Like, he's gonna be very basic. Even though I don't know, it was weird. Remember preseason and offseason, everybody's talking about how great he was in Jacksonville. So I don't know. I'm so sick of backups. Like, I would like to face all the guys we paid tickets and money for to see on TV versus these backups. But nothing against the backups. They get paid too. I was a backup, so we get paid. But I know the people came, like the Vikings fans that travel probably wanted to see Trevor Lawrence go against Sam Darnold so we can slay another quarterback.
Yeah, someone in the comments, Cameron, pointing out Jake Browning last year punked the Vikings in Cincinnati.
Have you seen? Did you see why though? Everybody was watching Jake Browning's girlfriend. Like that's hard to pay attention, and she's walking around in like a white speed suit. Like, what? Like, she thought she was on a Jamaican bobsled team. Like, I have no idea what that outfit was about.
Good for her.
Bobsled time. I'm less worried.
Feel the rhythm.
Feel the rhyme. Come on now.
It's bobsled time. But yeah,
I'm less worried about Mac. Maybe this is wrong. I'm less worried about Mac than I was Joe Flacco. But Joe Flacco was kind of terrible in that game.
Yeah, Joe Flacco was also a better quarterback than the one he replaced.
True.
Yeah, like the line movement on Flacco got more favorable for the Colts, and this one is plummeting. This is like a 3-point movement. The Vikings way. So I don't know what to make of it, but we did find out, Ron, that Mac Jones' full name is Michael McCorkle Jones. So take that for what it's worth.
Like Steve Urkel, Michael McCorkle.
McCorkle.
So I hope my nerdy stat fit in too with you guys. I mean, I literally looked up every team's tight end running back production.
Yeah.
So I have every percentage of by the way, do you know who the worst usage of tight ends are in the NFL right now? Which teams? It's two teams that are tied for the worst tight end running back usage in the passing game.
Vikings?
Colts?
I don't think it's the Vikings.
No, it's not the Vikings. Vikings are at 29.4%, which is going to go up with TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah.
One of them is the Chargers.
Okay, yeah.
Weird
Sure.
enough. And
Teams
the
that
other one,
only use receivers.
the Chargers, yeah. And the other one is the Panthers. Both are at 10% usage for touchdowns
Oh, okay,
on
yeah.
the tight ends and running backs.
Who's
So very-
playing tight end for the Panthers? Who is that?
Adam Thielen, I think, is their tight end.
Ian Thomas?
Yeah, I was wondering
It's
if
a
it's
guy.
Ian Thomas,
It's a
right?
guy.
Like 4th round pick from like
Yeah.
4 or 5 years
You
ago.
probably could ask the
Ian
coaching
Thomas?
staff, and they probably be like, I don't know. Like,
Nobody knows.
who's our tight end?
Nobody knows.
Oh, he plays
Brandon
for us?
Zylstra? Right?
They don't know.
Ron's going to host the roundtable tomorrow. We'll have plenty more Vikings Jags talk a little Timberwolves probably, and Gophers. A lot to get to on those Friday roundtables. He's at 3 Ron Johnson on the Twitter/X machine. Ron, good stuff. Thanks
Appreciate
a lot as usual. We'll finish up nerdy stats and then make our Week 10 gambling picks. I believe Luke Inman is where we left off.
Nerdy stat. Yeah, maybe you guys have already heard this one, but Jonathan Grenard leads the NFL in total pressures with 48. He's tied for first place with Nick Bosa as well for pressures generated versus true pass sets. I think that's 3 ahead of Trey Hendrickson. Also from weeks 5 to 9, he's averaging 6.5 pressures per game. That's also top 2 in the league behind Bosa, right ahead of Hendrickson. So great company, Jonathan Grenard, Bosa, Hendrickson when it comes to be, like a premier pass rushing edge player. Also, by the way, too, I don't know if he gets enough love in the run game, in the run department. He's done a great job setting the edge this year, too. You think back to losing Danielle Hunter in the offseason, I think a lot of people thought, those are going to be really big shoes for him to come in and fill, replacing the legend of Danielle Hunter after 8-9 years in purple. That's going to be too much. All he's done is live up to the billing. And by and large this year, he's outproduced Danielle Hunter in a lot of stats and categories and analytics as well. And he's been obviously a big reason why this defense has been so good at getting after the passer.
With the number 16 contract in average annual value, you're getting a number 1 caliber season.
You're getting younger at the position as well. Yeah. Unbelievable signing. Great.
Really nice. Luke Braun?
Last year, Mac Jones, when pressured, had the second highest turnover-worthy play percentage at 10.2%. Third is a tie at 7.5, by the way. So there's 2 guys that just were truly dreadful at giving the ball up when they were under pressure. Number 1, Nick Mullins. So this guy turns into Nick Mullins under pressure. I'd try to do that.
Yeah, I work on that. Yeah.
And they have no guards, folks. They have no guards.
But curiously, not as bad when blitzed versus just like pressure generally. Because, when you get the blitz, there's a plan for that, right? There's something. You can still kind of execute things on schedule. It's getting him off schedule. So, yeah, if you can get somebody that beats these backup guards, get somebody that beats, Walker Little, who wasn't even really supposed to be a starting left tackle, now he is, then you can sort of bring the worst out in him.
It's gambling time.
I got one more. Hold on. I got one more crazy stat. Non-Vikings related NFC North, though. Did you know Amon-Ra St. Brown has caught 30 straight targets in a row?
I mean, Lions pass catchers feel like they've caught like 80 in a row. I mean, Goff just doesn't throw interceptions.
How does one ball just get batted or tipped or just thrown at the shoestring?
Well, they don't
30 in a
call
row?
tipped passes as targets, so he's got that going
All right,
for
fair
him.
enough. All right.
Goff is on a serious heater right now. Got to hope the Lions are peaking too early because, we were talking about this with Ron. There is a legitimate world where the Vikings go on a run right now. They've got these 3 easy road games-ish, then 3 home games in a row. You might be favored in 6 in a row before that Seattle game. You could win 13, 14 games this year, best case scenario, of course, and still be the 5 seed. Because the Lions, how many more games are they going to lose? They've got the Texans this weekend. That's probably got to be a loss if they're going to have a couple more. Then they've got the Bills and Niners.
I think they're favored on the road. Is that in Houston? I think they're favored on the road in that game.
They should be.
Like
They should be.
2.5,
They should be
2.5,
favored
3.5.
everywhere right now.
Yeah.
But they're not. I don't think they're losing more than 3 games. Like the Vikings could win a ton of games and still be the 5 seed.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You
Favored
look
by
at the
3.5
schedule,
on the road, by the way.
that's what I don't see a lot of.
Yeah,
losses you feel
You
confident
you have
about?
to be within striking distance by week 18. That game needs to matter for the division, and then you can go say, all right, here's our chance. We go into Ford Field and it's in our own hands, But I think the way the Vikings went into this season, if they were really going to make a run at a trophy, it was always going to be as Road Warriors. So.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, you could Vikings could maybe afford to lose 2 more than Lions lose 2, and then as long as you have the divisional tiebreaker in hand, you could go into Ford Field and steal it in that final game. Let's get into the picks. We started the year with $1,000 mythical dollars. We are all in profit. Let's pat ourselves on the back at the halfway point. Now the minimums get higher, gets a little messier. People get more desperate. Inman leads, healthy margin, 1234 and change. Braun, 1,083 and change. I'm at 1,049 and change. And Arif in last. You don't want to be in last. 1,017. So very tight 2, 3, and 4. I pick first, then Braun, then Inman, then Arif. I am going to go with the Red Hot Rams, which gave Inman a little scare last week, but they got the job done in overtime. I'm going to take the same line. They're at home against the Dolphins. Dolphins' last-ditch effort. I'm going to take the Rams -1.5. That is an appealing number on Monday night. I'll take that, and I'll put 150 on it. Odds, I'll check. Hold on. -106. -106. Up next, Luke Braun.
Well, Ron kind of spoiled my pick with his nerdy stat in the way that the Jaguars handle tight ends. They've given up a lot to tight ends.
Oh, man.
So I'm going to go with an alt line. I'm going to go with T.J. Hawkinson, 40-plus yards. Last I looked, that was at +125, but it was bouncing all over, so let me double-check.
I was actually looking at that as well.
Literally my exact bet that I wrote down.
Literally, you guys.
I'm glad.
You guys,
Yeah, +125. I'll
We
put
all
them
had
in
this.
on it.
Seriously,
I had it
are
written
you
down
kidding?
like way before. Yeah, okay.
I was
Yeah,
thinking
I had
about
that-
doing 50 plus at like +2020.
Yeah.
Well, you can still do that.
Oh, can I? Oh, that would be
Yeah,
hilarious.
like the Montgomery thing, right? It's an alt line.
Yeah, it's like the same
You can just
thing.
go more
You can do
aggressive,
it.
different
You
bet.
can just do it.
Let's have some fun. Who's next?
Let's all do T.J.
it's
Hawkinson
him.
alt line.
Honestly,
Yeah.
why not? I liked
think-
it. I liked it before Luke bet on it. Why wouldn't I still like
Yeah,
it? Yeah.
and I think to a point that Sam has made before, I think like once they're shorter than like -150, we shouldn't take it, because I think what Sam wants
Yeah,
is to
that's-
not be able to take things that are like -300 and like kind of plod your way through that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think if you want to get more aggressive, like that should be.
Right. I'm gonna go. I'll switch it up. Sam, you can have that alt 50 or more on Hawk if you want. I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna go JJ anytime touchdown -105, $150.
-105. 150. Arif gets 2 picks.
Yeah, okay. I'll do the Hawkinson alt line because that's fun. Let's see. What are our alt lines here?
50, 60,
50
70.
or more is at I think plus
50 is +205, 60 is
Yeah,
plus
60.
330,
Let's
70
do
is plus 530.
Let's do 60. That one sounds fun. TJ Hawkinson 60+ yards, plus 330 minimum as always. And then for my game pick, it will be the Falcons -3.5 against the Saints at -115 minimum.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Boy, we're all in some lockstep on this week, huh?
Yeah, that's crazy. So we're all going to be way wrong.
Yep. T.J. Hawkinson's walking away with 18 yards.
Inman.
Boy. Let me go to Plan B here.
Did you have another one? You didn't.
No.
That was you were just going to go in. Okay.
Nope. We're winging it. Jets -105. Arif, you took Houston last week, correct? Thursday Night Football, because you said what Jets? Why are they favored
Yeah, I was
by
like,
1.5?
what's going on?
They're
Why
favored
would
by 1.5 again. Maybe something's going on behind the scenes. Give me Jets -105. It's at -108, and I'm gonna go. What's minimum?
100.
100 today.
$100.
Yeah.
Can you read it again one more time for me?
Jets by 1.5 on the road versus the Cardinals, which, again, this doesn't make any sense. Cardinals are good now, right? Cardinals are good at home. But Jets by 1.5, and the spread is -108. The line, I should say, is -108.
And you want how much on it?
$100.
I actually contemplated the other side of that. I could still take it. Actually, no, I can't. I already did my game line. I thought about the Cardinals, but Luke Braun.
I'm going to go with a good old-fashioned classic. Falcons Saints in a dome, putting up points. I'm taking the over of 46.5, which is at minus 115 right now. I'll put them in on it.
So I'm gonna stray from the Hawkinson alt line because I want to have you guys lose and me win. And
take the under.
I feel like we are
take
all...
the under.
Oh,
go direct.
Yeah.
Under 33 would be his actual under.
Yeah, it's 33.
Or I think you could take an alt under too
but,
if you wanted to. It'd be
and
weird,
the problem is I like it too much. I don't want that. I will now explain this one to me. How are the odds on Sam Darnold over 1.5 touchdowns, minus 138, and the alt passing touchdowns 2+ is minus 144? Like you're just paying 6% juice for no reason.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
No, it wouldn't push.
Ooh.
It's 2+.
You can't push.
Yeah, it's the same bet.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's the same
It
bet.
feels exploitable.
Yeah. Loophole. What
It's
could go wrong? Loophole.
very small
Max
exploit,
bet.
but yes.
Max bet.
Yeah.
Max bet alert.
Max bet. Max bet.
What could go wrong?
So I will take the over 1.5 on Darnold.
Minus 144. Got it. Great.
At
Mark
minus
it in. Lock it
138. And I will put an even 100 on that minimum.
Oh, the people wanted me to bet on the Jags, but then I would never stop betting on the Jags the rest of the year. That's how
That's
that
true.
goes.
Yeah.
Once
how
you
that
start, you
goes.
can't stop.
Because
It's
I
like
lose,
Pringles.
and I'm like, no, they're due. Come on,
This
now.
is about when they took off a couple of years ago.
The worst part is when you
Yep.
stopped betting on the Jags, they were due, and they started covering.
Don't. I can't rehash that. BetterHelp. That's HELP. BetterHelp.com.
The picks are in. I will send those out right now or in a second. Minnesota Football Party live Mondays and Thursdays. We thank Ron Johnson for his appearance. Arif, wide left. Luke Braun, Locked on Vikings. Luke Inman, the postcasts after every single Vikings Gophers Timberwolves game right now. And I'm Sam Ekstrom. Thanks so much for watching, listening, and commenting. We'll talk to you Monday on the Minnesota Football Party.